So they're not even culturally those type of savages at all. They're
Well,
mostly like all about their
well,
mom.
that's what the Hispanic members of the crew told me. They're concerned because they believe it'll create a negative backlash on Hispanics. But me talking about, you know, the Robert Rodriguez trailer saying this is a message for Arizona, and then it shows the whites as all racist and being hacked up by machetes, and that was only a small part of. Then I played the clip from UCLA with him up there going, "I love my students. We're communists. The whites are evil. We're going to get them." And you know, my issue is the government and the universities are backing that view. And most of the Hispanic callers agreed yesterday, and they said, I've been called a pocho, if I'm pronouncing it right, which means a sellout if I have an American flag, if I decide I want to be part of this country. And that's not saying America's perfect, but the idea of America. I mean, have you ever been pressured by anybody, or you're saying you don't even find this anywhere?
Well, for the most part, I never actually believe. I'm like you. I've never really believed that there is two parties. I've always thought they're all just a puppet. But out here, for the most part, they're very docile people over here in the New York area. They're very docile and very grateful to their, whoever they're working for, and they're very good tenants because, like I said, I'm in the real estate field. What I do notice is they're not active. They're not doing what they're doing out there in your part of the country, like in California, Arizona. That over there is a lot of lying. I heard your show yesterday, the last show you had on that topic, and what I can tell you is that guy, I saw him, the one from that university, UCLA, that professor, Latino, he's full of it because as far as him saying that he's the northern front inside the belly of the beast and that he's just the beginning of Latin America, well, I'm from South America originally, and especially Ecuador, so that's where my parents are from. Totally false. I mean, South America, they're not interested in that kind of axis. They don't want that kind of union. They don't care what goes on over here.
Well, I said something good about Hugo Chavez 4 years ago. He led the coalition to stop the American Union. I mean, it was openly being formed, and Hugo Chavez killed that. I don't like the fact that he's starting to restrict free speech and do other things, and I don't believe in socialism, but I agree he's certainly not the New World Order. Ma'am, I appreciate your call. Very revealing. God bless you, Laura. George Humphrey, you wanted to comment on this.
Yeah, I have a special insight on this. My former wife is from Jalisco, from Puerto Vallarta. I've been down to Mexico at least once or twice a year for the last 25 years. My kids speak puro Espanol. My in-laws down in Mexico are some of the finest people on this planet. They're also very, very involved in the political parties down there. They know what's going on. And they just say, you know what? America is the only country in the world with open borders. We've got, 20 to 30 million illegals in this country. We don't know exactly how many there are. This is the only nation on the planet that allows this. And it's not the problem of the Mexicans or the Central Americans coming up here. If I was from Ecuador, I'd probably come up here myself and want to come up here. But the point is that every country needs to take care of itself. And this
well, the globalists are radicalizing, and they're trying to use it as a weapon. And these communist groups are saying they want to get me. I'm evil. I'm white. They're going to get my guns. They're going to get my kids. And I'm saying, look, I'm not against you because you got brown skin, but when you start saying you want to kill me, you got a problem.
Yeah. And there's another fact that goes into this. 83% of all first-generational Latin Americans who are now U.S. citizens are for real immigration reform. They know that a balkanized America is not a good America. So,
well, the government wants to make sure people don't integrate. Yeah. They want to keep everybody in their group.
Absolutely.
That's why they're against everybody learning English.
It's amazing. 90% of Americans are hip to what's going on. They want to close the borders. They want to protect things. It's the media and the government. The Democrats want to bring in new imports because it's the only source of new votes, and the Republicans want to do it to keep things messed up and to keep wages low.
And we aborted 50 million Americans, and so we have to have this new workforce. I mean, we killed, 50+% of blacks have never been born since '73.
Sick.
Yeah, I mean, it's sick. I mean, this is death. I mean, this is. Let's go ahead and thank you, Laura. Let's talk to Margaret in Oklahoma. You're on the air, Margaret.
Hello. I had 4 questions I wanted to ask real fast. Schaefer Cox. I saw a meeting he had in Montana. He had in December. I saw it, and I looked on the internet to see more about him. And he was in jail, and he had something called the Liberty Bells, and all his supporters are supposed to come and help him out.
I don't know who Schaefer Cox is, ma'am, so I can't really comment on that. What else?
Oh, okay. A second one, Haiti. I was wondering about Haiti because is it possible that those people were actually murdered? Because I was living in a country in this is called East Pakistan 5 years ago, and the military went door to door murdering people.
Well, I know Haiti is an incredible police state, Margaret, and that's the whole point, is that America isn't perfect. And now it's been seized as an engine of global domination. So people can point at America and say we're bad, but we've gone against our Bill of Rights and Constitution. It's still the best, and that's why the globalists want to pull it down.
Yeah, but this CIA was probably behind what happened in East Pakistan. But the CIA has like drug gangs.
Margaret, I hear you and I agree with you. I mean, Eric Prince said that Blackwater wasn't in Pakistan killing people, and then he gave a speech and got recorded, and Vanity Fair has it, where he was saying they're in Pakistan. I mean, it's just nonstop. And now they don't deny that our government grows the opium. They just admit it like it's a good thing.
I'm over in India and Southeast Asia every year for a couple months a year, and there's no question that Blackwater is over there. There's no question that the U.S. government is growing the opium, just like the British East India Bay Company used to grow the opium. You know how Franklin Delano Roosevelt's family made all their palatial wealth?
Opium.
Opium. The Delano family brought the opium from Southeast Asia to China and kept China totally addicted to opium for over 100 years.
No, they know what they're doing. The government ships it in, and then SWAT teams any fool that they think has it. Let's go to Stuart in New York. Stuart, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Alex. It seems that mass fear and confusion can only help our friends in the New World Order. Who was it said that it's a shame to waste a good disaster? I'm just paraphrasing that.
It was Rahm Emanuel. He says you don't want a good crisis to go to waste.
Well, it seems we've got 2 on the horizon now. In addition to the economic crisis, I'd like to go back to what's happening in the Gulf of Mexico and the volcano situation. You had touched on the possibility that what happened in the Gulf was not an accident. And if you remember what happened at 9/11, who benefits? There is some talk going around that, in fact, it wasn't an accident, and it's coming from what I consider to be reliable sources. Who benefits? Let's look at our friends in North Korea. If there's anything that you can do as far as like tracing short options in the stock exchange, just like we did with the airlines when 9/11 happened, I would sincerely appreciate that. With the volcanoes, it's going to shorten the growing seasons, and it's going to create a food shortage. And again, that's something that the new...
Well, you know what they say, when it rains, it pours. We'll get George Humphrey's comment on that. Then we're going to get into psychic vampires of the New World Order and a lot more straight ahead. We'll be right back. We're going to continue with your phone calls. The controllers win if they can manipulate the political debate and give you false choices. If they control the field, they own the horse track, they own the horses, they win. We have to realize that this whole game is rigged and then offer a alternative to people. The average American's been taught things are so bad because the American system doesn't work. No. I mean, if I buy a new car and it's got the engine, you know, the way it's supposed to run, it's got oil in it, it's got all the belts on it, and I'm driving, you know, I drive it around for 50,000 miles and it never has a problem, and then I drain the oil out and remove a belt, it's not going to work. So we have to fix it instead of going into this globalist system. But George, you were talking about how vampires and fables have to tell you what they're going to do to you before you do it. And we've seen this in countless government productions, like Lone Gunman, the X-Files spinoff. And I was later approached by Dean Haglund, who was the star of the show, and he said, no, the CIA came to us. He's been in studio and basically said, you know, we want this in these storylines where the government remote controls a jet into the World Trade Centers as a pretext to start a war, and they use a drill to make NORAD stand down. Why do they love to tell us what they're going to do to us beforehand?
Well, last night I went to a movie, and of the 6 trailers that were on, 4 of these were vampire movies. Now, the statistical probability of 80% of the movies that are coming out are about vampires is about 0. And the vampire movie...
That's all I see is trailers and books and just vampire, vampire, vampire.